Hello Islamic friends, meet again with the Islamic Voice channel. Before we continue, it would be good for us to support this channel by clicking the subscribe, like, comment, and share buttons. The story of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's spiritual journey to converting to Islam. Basketball fans must be familiar with the name Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the NBA living legend who rose to fame with the LA Lakers. However, not many know the story behind the name he used. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was actually born Lou Alcindor. He rocked the NBA in 1971 by leading the Milwaukee Bucks to their first NBA title. But the surprises didn't stop there. Just one day after leading the Bucks to a championship, he announced his decision to convert to Islam and change his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. However, as reported by the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, the process of changing beliefs and names had apparently been going on for several years previously. Kareem came from a Catholic family and attended a Catholic school, but the harassment from Irish Catholic students who called him nigger hurt his feelings. He then began to get acquainted with Islam when he was involved in the civil rights movement in the 1960s. It was also during this time that he began to read the autobiography of Malcolm X, an American Muslim figure, which later became the beginning of his change of faith. Malcolm X's transformation from a criminal to a political leader greatly inspired him. Malcolm X's Islam also helped Kareem find his identity, so he began to study it in depth. The move was also driven by the fact that he saw and experienced firsthand the tensions caused by racism in the United States. He felt that he was often used as a display as part of an effort to show that racism in America was exaggerated, even though it was actually the opposite. I rejected a religion that was foreign to my Black African cultural roots and supported a legacy of racism, he said, explaining why he decided to follow in Malcolm X's footsteps and convert to Islam. However, he denied joining the Nations of Islam founded by Malcolm X and claimed to be more interested in the spiritual rather than political elements of the organization. In the NBA world, Kareem is remembered as the all-time leading scorer in the NBA with 38,387 points, which has not been surpassed by anyone to date. He is also recorded as a 6-time NBA champion, with details of 1 time with the Bucks and 5 times with the Lakers. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, willing to lose fans and family for the sake of Islam. Many racists in America think that black people are only good at sports, but for Kareem, that opinion does not apply. Brain and muscle intake must be equally balanced. Intellectual ability is as important as physical capacity. Therefore, he always tells the basketball kids he coaches, more people need to start spending as much time in the library as they do on the basketball court. As a 6-time NBA MVP, the name Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is certainly familiar to all observers and fans of the American Basketball League. In addition to being known as one of the living legends of American basketball, he is also a coach, actor, best-selling author, and America's global ambassador for peace and culture. Born in New York City in 1947 to disciplined parents, Kareem, whose real name is Ferdinand Louis Alcindor Jr., is an only child who is obedient. He never once disobeyed and disappointed his parents, Cora Lillian and Ferdinand Louis Alcindor Sr. Every day he tried to maximize his potential in academics, social, and sports. However, among all of them, basketball was the thing he was most passionate about. With a tall and big body, basketball has been his passion since childhood. Even when he was in high school, he had scored a record 2,067 points, which earned him the nickname the Tower of Power. Entering college, Lou, his nickname before deciding to become a Muslim, increasingly showed his brilliance with various achievements, including winning the title of Player of the Year in 1967 and 1969. His slick game even caught the attention of the media Sports Illustrated, who described him as a new superstar. Under the coaching of John Wooden, he also managed to become a major contributor in the team's 88 wins and only suffered 2 defeats. Although his teenage years were quite special with various awards, Lou Alcindor had experienced eye disease which caused problems with his cornea. Because of this physical problem, he was then required to play basketball wearing glasses. Interestingly, the popularity he gained in the basketball world actually made Lou uncomfortable. For a shy person like him, the personal struggle to meet public expectations as a role model and superstar made him incredibly restless. At that time, he became acquainted with Islam, whose teachings and values made Liu fall in love. Shortly after studying Islam briefly, he decided to pronounce the Shahada in the summer of 1968 and changed his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. His decision to change his faith was not easily accepted by the people around him, including his own parents. In fact, according to Kareem, his father and mother were not the religious type. However, for them, Islam was a foreign religion. They also believed that the teachings of Christ could not be disturbed, even though they were not devout followers of the religion. The rejection of his immediate family did not immediately make Kareem give up and immediately leave Islam. His desire to deepen his understanding of Islam actually grew stronger. He even studied with Abdul Khalis from Hamas before separating from his teacher because of many things he did not agree with. In the process of understanding Islam, he married Janice Brown, who then followed him to become a convert. When the marriage ceremony and reception were held, there was a misunderstanding between the spiritual teacher and Kareem's parents. As a result, his father and mother were unable to enter the event hall. Feeling ignored, Kareem's father and mother ignored him for quite a long time. Of course, this made Kareem sad, even though there was not the slightest intention to forbid them from coming. To pay for his mistake, every time he was interviewed directly by the media, he always greeted his father and mother as an effort to apologize. Kareem's challenges in embracing Islam did not only come from his immediate family, many of his die-hard fans were also disappointed with his personal decision. There were countless insults and taunts that he experienced as a new Muslim. Some fans even labeled him as someone who was not very nationalistic because he embraced Islam. The peak of public disapproval of his Islam occurred when Kareem's house and family were attacked by the right-wing Ku Klux Klan. In mid-1972, Kareem decided to study Arabic intensively at Harvard. At the same time, he was also blessed with his first daughter, who was named exactly the same as his wife, Habiba. The busyness of studying and being a new father turned out to be not as easy as Kareem had imagined. Having difficulty carrying out both roles, he and his wife were involved in conflict. Although it had been suppressed for years, separation was inevitable. In 1978, the two agreed to divorce. From their marriage, he had 3 children, Habiba, Sultana, and Kareem Jr. Hit by various personal issues did not dampen Kareem's intention to study Islam more seriously. Not in accordance with the teachings of his teacher from Hamas, he then flew to Libya and Saudi Arabia to study Arabic and the Quran. From this long journey, he became increasingly convinced that his choice to embrace Islam was never wrong. He strongly believed that the vision and mission of Islam were in line with his life's ideals. Therefore, not long after retiring from the world of basketball, he tried to internalize Islamic teachings about giving through various charity auctions and the non-profit organization he founded, the Skyhook Foundation. Through the non-profit organization, he managed to provide scholarships for underprivileged children to continue their education. At his age, which is no longer young, accumulating gold and jewels is no longer his interest. He only hopes that the next generation, especially those from the poor, can have a bright future and make achievements like him. Looking back on what I have done with my life, instead of gazing at the sparkle of jewels or gold plating celebrating something I did a long time ago, I'd rather look into the delighted face of a child holding their first caterpillar and think about what I might be doing for their future. There's a reason Kareem Abdul-Jabbar chose Islam. Even though he has been a Muslim for 40 years, many people still ask why this African-blooded man chose the religion of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as his path in life. He decided to convert in 1971. The decision of the owner of the Islamic name, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, to embrace Islam was not a light matter. He was at the peak of his career in the world of basketball. He was part of the best college basketball team in America, namely UCLA. He is so famous and always in the media spotlight. However, even at the peak of his popularity, the former best player of the National Basketball Association, NBA, found discomfort. The 68-year-old man did not know the reason that caused the feeling to rage within him. The anxiety welled up in his heart, especially after reading the autobiography of Malcolm X. He said he was fascinated by Malcolm's story of realizing that he was a victim of institutional racism. "That's how I felt imprisoned by myself," Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said, as reported by AlJazeera.com. Malcolm X's story was so inspiring to him. Malcolm X's transformation from criminal to political leader inspired him to take a closer look at his own identity. Islam helped Abdul-Jabbar, as he was fondly called, find his true self and gave him the strength to live his life. One of them is to face the hostility between black and white, and also to fight for social justice. Slowly, finally, he firmly converted to Islam when he was 24 years old. According to him, it is not easy to be a Muslim in the United States. However, for him, the process he went through was part of a spiritual transformation. The first thing this man born in Lew Alcindor, New York did was to leave his parents' baptismal religion, namely Catholicism, and then study Islam. For him, Christianity is the basis for white culture to enslave black people and support racism that permeates society. The consequences of this phenomenal decision, Abdul-Jabbar must bear the consequences that are not light. He was well aware that his choice could distance him from his family, friends, and social environment. Moreover, he was born into a family that was obedient and respected rules, especially the rules of parents, teachers, preachers, and coaches. His parents did not agree with his lifestyle, even though neither of them were devout Catholics. They were both disappointed. His parents wanted Abdul-Jabbar to become an evangelist. Many questions have arisen as to why he converted to Islam and changed his name. For those closest to him, the name is difficult for Americans to pronounce. Some fans asked directly, as if he were a bomber of a place of worship who had no sense of nationalism. The peak of public disapproval of the former professional basketball player's Islam crystallized when his family was attacked by Ku Klux Klan-based Christians and his house was burned down by the KKK splinter group, the Black Legion. Even so, Abdul-Jabbar faced many obstacles, but he never wavered or regretted his decision. In fact, if time could be turned back, he hopes to convert in a more private way without publicity and comments from many people. Thus, no one would criticize his decision and associate it with a certain race or group. According to the man who played in 20 seasons of the basketball league, most people are born with the religion that their parents have embraced. They consider religion as an inheritance and comfort. Belief is only based on faith, not because of an understanding of religious teachings. That way, religion is accepted from the family and as part of the culture. However, for him, religion is a matter of deep conviction. The conviction he feels is based on a combination of faith and logic, because it takes a strong reason to leave family and community traditions. Therefore, becoming a convert can result in the loss of family, friends, and community support. Abdul-Jabbar's journey to learn Islam was winding. The owner of the real name Ferdinand Louis Alcindor had studied with Abdul Khalis from Hamas. From that teacher, he got his Islamic name, which means a noble servant of the Almighty. In the process of learning about Islam, Abdul-Jabbar agreed to marry a woman recommended by his spiritual teacher, even though he admitted to having another crush. He also followed the teacher's advice not to invite his parents to his wedding reception. He realized this was a mistake, and it took him a decade to repair the relationship with his parents. Not content to receive all his religious knowledge from just one person, he decided to learn on his own. In the process, the best player in the National Basketball Association, NBA, discovered that there were things he could not follow regarding some of Abdul Khalis's teachings about the Quran, his life. Abdul-Jabbar decided to separate from the teachings of his teacher, and in 1973, he went to Libya and Saudi Arabia to learn Arabic so he could study the Quran directly. In fact, he rejected a religion that was foreign to American culture. He was once accused of joining the Nation of Islam, an American Islamic movement founded in Detroit in 1930. Although he was greatly inspired by Malcolm X, the leader of the Nation of Islam, he chose not to join the organization because he wanted to focus more on spirituality than politics. According to him, Some fans still call him by his childhood name, Lou. He admitted that he was annoyed when people still called him by that name. He felt that they did not respect the beliefs he currently holds. For him, fans who still treat him like that only see him as an action figure toy to decorate their world as they want, and not judging it as an individual with his life.